What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Queensball Sports. And today we're doing our conference championship game picks. It's going to be weird because there are going to be some games during conference championship week that aren't conference championships, which I think is going to be kind of odd because games get canceled. They keep postponing them back. So it's this week. This is going to be the last chance teams have to impress the playoff selection committee and say that they deserve a spot in the top four and a chance to play for the national championship. I think there are, 6 or 7 teams that I think have a realistic chance, those being Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Cincinnati, and Iowa State. Cincinnati and Ohio State, they're going to need a little bit in front of them to help themselves. But those are the teams that I think have a realistic shot of making it. But they're going to have to take care of business on this Saturday. And some games are even on Friday. I plan on doing a college game day sort of thing on my Discord server where I just have like a ton of people on from when college game day starts to when the games actually start, just talking about it. Everyone can make some game picks if they want to. I want to do some fun stuff like that. If you are interested, DM me on Instagram at Queensball Sports, all one word, and I will give you the Discord server. So just DM me. If you are interested in doing that, I should maybe come out with more details about that when we get closer to that day. But without further ado, we have a beautiful board for our picks. Look at that. We have some picks to make. All right. Let's start with the 3 most notable games from games that aren't conference championship games. Texas A&M and Tennessee. This is a playoff game for Texas A&M. They have to win this game if they want a chance to make the college football playoff. If they don't win this game, sorry, no playoffs for you, TAMU. So they got to win this game. I'm pretty sure they will. At Tennessee, Tennessee might hang for a little bit, but I think Texas A&M will eventually pull away in the end to get this win. Vandy taking on Georgia. Sarah Fuller becomes the first Power 5 women player to score a point. So congratulations to her. But Vanderbilt's going to have a really tough time with Georgia. I don't think they really stand a chance. I think Georgia should win this game very easily. And then Army and Air Force. Army defeated Navy in their big rivalry game. They won 15-0. That was a pretty good game. I think they win another low-scoring affair against another triple-option team in Air Force. All right, now let's get to the conference championship games. We have all 10 conferences here. The first one we have is Ohio State and Northwestern. By the way, the rankings are from the AP poll. As I'm filming this on Monday, so the college football playoff rankings have not come out yet. So that will play a factor in some playoff scenarios. I'm going to be paying close attention to those. Anyway, Northwestern, I feel like, is not getting enough credit in this game. Everyone thinks Ohio State's just going to absolutely roll over them and just dominate them. I don't think that that's going to end up happening. I think Northwestern will hold their own. I had an Ohio State fan tell me that they would win by 4 touchdowns. Northwestern hasn't given up 4 touchdowns all year. They just grabbed the Land of Lincoln trophy by beating Illinois. They would have been undefeated, but they lost to Michigan State. Ohio State beat Michigan State by 40. But I think Northwestern's defense comes to play. When 2 years ago when these two teams played, Dwayne Haskins against everyone in Northwestern. Northwestern was in that game. It was tied in the fourth quarter, and Ohio State sort of ran away with it at the end. I think Northwestern is better this year than they were in that year. This is going to be a close dogfight of a game. I think Ohio State ends up pulling it out in the end, though. Give me the Buckeyes. I don't know what the spread is. If the spread is more than 2 touchdowns, I would bet Northwestern in this game. All right, Oklahoma and Iowa State. Iowa State has not won a conference title since 1913. A lot on the line for them this game. I remember that this team was supposed to be undefeated, win the Big 12, make the playoff. Brock Purdy's winning the Heisman. And then they come out week 1 and they lose to Louisiana Lafayette. But they battle back. They beat Oklahoma earlier in the year, and they win the Big 12 regular season title. Now they got to get it done against Oklahoma again. I think Breece Hall, running back for Iowa State, he's been great. Iowa State's coming with a lot of momentum. On the flip side, Oklahoma, they suffered 2 terrible losses to a bad Kansas State team and to the aforementioned Iowa State. But they've been rolling. They have not lost since that game. I think whoever wins this game will have a backdoor chance of squeaking into the playoff. As for Ohio State, Northwestern's not going to get in, even if they win. Despite them maybe deserving a spot, I don't think they'll get one. Ohio State, they need to win and they're in. Lose, I think they're out. If Ohio State loses, they're done. Sorry, see you next year. I think in order for the winner of this game to get in, they would probably need Texas A&M to lose. Maybe they definitely need Clemson to lose. They would definitely need Bama to win, and then I don't know. It's complicated. I think if one of Ohio State or Texas A&M loses, and Notre Dame wins. So what these two teams need to get in, they would need Notre Dame to win, and they need one of either Texas A&M or Ohio State to lose. They don't need both, but they need one of them. As for the actual game, it's going to be a dogfight of a game, and I think Iowa State's going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder, probably the best Iowa State team ever, and I think that, hold on, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Did I not put a score in for this game? Okay, here's what we're going to do. I think that Iowa State is going to win the game. It's going to be close, high scoring. I think they pull away in the end. I'm going to say 35-31. Two evenly matched teams. I think Iowa State ends up getting it done. This might be the best game of the day. I'm not even kidding. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who are 9-1, 10-1, beat Iowa State earlier in the year. Loved their quarterback Levi Lewis. Had a thrilling win over App State earlier in the year, and they're coming in with a lot of momentum against a team that beat them earlier in the season, the Black Swarm defense and the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers coming in at 11-0. They have not lost this year. I think they should be in the playoff, even though they won't get in. The way they would have to get in is they would need Notre Dame and Bama to win. They would need Ohio State to probably win. And then they would need Ohio State to No, they would need Ohio State to lose. They would need Texas A&M to lose. They would probably need USC to lose. I don't know. It's complicated for Coastal Carolina. It's so much of a long shot. But they've never won a conference title. Never have they won a conference. Not a Power 5 conference title. They're sort of newer to the FBS. Never won a conference title. And they have Louisiana at home. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. Coastal won at Louisiana Lafayette. They won 30-27 on a game-winning field goal. This game is going to be an absolute instant classic. The first time a Sunbelt team's ever been ranked in the top 10. It comes down to the wire. I think that Coastal ends up getting it done late in the game. They run the ball. They control the clock. It might come down to who has the ball last. I'm not joking, but I think Coastal Carolina is going to edge them out and win the game. Tulsa and Cincinnati. This game was supposed to be played last week. As sort of each of these teams, it was like they were the last team on each other's schedule, and then they were going to play again in the American Championship. That game got canceled. And I found a Tulsa fan that was mad because if Tulsa would have won that game, they would have had home field advantage for the conference championship. But yeah, so now Tulsa. I have a Tulsa fan watching my channel. I forgot his name. If I see him in the comments, I'll make sure to give him a shout out. But he's talking before the season started. He's like, "Hey, watch out for Tulsa. They're going to be pretty good this year." I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. They're probably not going to be very good." They come out against Oklahoma State and they almost win. They lost 13-7 or 10-7. It was a really close game. Gave Oklahoma State a giant scare. And then since that game, they've been running through teams in the American. They have not lost, I don't think. I think their only loss was to Oklahoma State. They played in possibly the game of the year against Tulane. Tulane was up 7. They threw a Hail Mary. Got it, tied the game. Then they won in overtime on a 90-yard pick six. That was a game of the year candidate. That game was crazy. Meanwhile, Cincinnati, they have not lost yet this year, running through everyone in the American. No one has kept it close besides UCF. Tulsa also beat UCF earlier in the year. But I think Cincinnati is, the better team. But this will also be a very close and competitive game. Tulsa will hang around in this game. I like what I've seen from them, particularly their defense. I like what their defense has to offer. I do think Cincinnati is the more complete team. Desmond Ridder is the real deal. I really like Desmond Ridder. I think Cincinnati's defense will hold their own. Conference USA, Marshall, and UAB. The only conference that doesn't feature a ranked team. Interesting. Marshall is undefeated. They were making an assault on a New Year's Six bowl. They beat App State. They had like the number one scoring defense in the country, and they lose 20-0 to Rice. Not a great look. UAB, they kind of backdoored their way to their conference. They're like 3-1 in conference play. Texas San Antonio is like 5-2. Texas San Antonio was supposed to play in this game, but they ended up losing. I think Marshall's definitely the better team. Give me the Thundering Herd by 7. Here's an interesting game. Did any of y'all see the ending to the Western Michigan Ball State game? I'm from Indiana. Ball State's in Indiana. For the people that don't know a lot of people that go to Ball State. My teachers are, went to Ball State. I can name at least like 10 teachers off the top of my head that say they went to Ball State. Anyway, the ending of that game, Ball State's up by 3. Western Michigan is just throwing laterals up the wazoo. They're just throwing laterals like it's nobody's business. But eventually, Ball State recovers it, and they rush the field because they win this. That game was for the division. They rush the field. They win the division, right? So they rush onto the field, but the play is still alive. Some guy from Western Michigan came in with tremendous hustle and was able to, like, jar the ball loose. And so there's like 100. This is like Cal Stanford with the band. Everyone's on the field. Western Michigan, they're sort of like not knowing what to do. They lateral it some more, and they run to the end zone, and they rule it a touchdown. But one of the 18 passes they threw, they ruled as a forward pass. So Ball State won the game. Craziest ending to a football game this year, honestly. Meanwhile, Buffalo, they feature Jarrett Patterson, who I would vote for Heisman. This man scored 8 touchdowns in a game that ties a record with, I think, Kellen Ballage of Arizona State and someone else. I love what Buffalo's got doing. And also, they have scored. There's this college football stat page I follow on Instagram, and they were showing the leaders in points per game. Marshall was like number 1 in points allowed per game. Points scored per game. Buffalo averages 50 points per game. Repeat, 50 points per game. They're insane. Jared Patterson's the best running back in America. He's on pace for like 60-something touchdowns, and this is a full season. He would have my Heisman vote. He's not going to win it. He should get at least invited, although I don't think he will. Give me Buffalo in this game. Yeah, they will get their fair share of points, trust me. Pac-12. Interesting because Buffalo was supposed to make it to the Pac-12 title game. No one thought Buffalo was going to be great. Lost their coach Mel Tucker to what was it called? They lose Mel Tucker to Michigan State, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're not going to be very good." Colorado, they come out undefeated. All they need to do is beat Utah to make it to the conference championship. What do? They get blown out by a 1-2 Utah team in the snow. So USC gets to go to the conference championship, and then Washington clinched their spot from the Pac-12 North, but Washington ate up with coronavirus, so it goes to the second team, the Oregon Ducks. Man, has there been a more disappointing team in college football than Oregon? Maybe Penn State and Michigan. Other than that, the Oregon Ducks. I thought they were gonna make the playoff. Man, y'all dodged. If this was a normal season, y'all would have had to play Ohio State. Wouldn't have won that game. But you know what game you really dodged from coronavirus? North Dakota State. They were supposed to play North Dakota State. I was so excited for that game. I was going to pick North Dakota State to win that game. Trey Lance and company are going to show why they belong in the FBS. So you really dodged a bullet that game. Hell, you lost to little brother Oregon State. Just an absolute embarrassment going on in Oregon. But they backed their way into the Pac-12 championship. USC, they still have playoff aspirations. Are they worthy? Hell no. I think San Jose State and Buffalo have just as much to claim as making it to the playoffs as USC does. What are you, 5-0? You beat Arizona by 4. Arizona State beat Arizona by 70 points. So, yeah, they shouldn't be anywhere near the playoff. I think both these teams are heavily overrated. The Pac-12 is just a garbage can conference. Give me USC. The Mountain West. Shout out to the San Jose State Spartans. They started 5-0 for the first time since 1939. When has San Jose State ever been good? That's right, never. They've never been a good team. They've just always been near the bottom of the Mountain West. What do? They come on this year. They're undefeated throughout conference play. So congrats to the Spartans of San Jose State. They are the number 1 seed in the Mountain West. The number 2 seed, the perennial powerhouse Boise State. They got embarrassed. I mean, just trucked by BYU when BYU played them. So their only loss was an out-of-conference loss. This is going to be a really good game. I don't know if this game is played at so for some of these smaller conferences, like I know the Sun Belt does this, the conference championship is held, like the higher seed hosts. I don't know if San Jose State's going to be hosting this conference. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. Best San Jose State team since 1939. I think their defense comes to play. I think they end up winning a close affair with Boise State. Shout out to the San Jose State Spartans. Give them some respect. They have just as much claim to the playoff as USC does. They're 5-0. Jeez. All right. The game of the year is going to get a rematch. Clemson and Notre Dame. Now, let's just put the stakes out there. If Clemson, whoever wins this game, they are in the college football playoff. No questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it. The loser, probably not going to make it. I know a lot of people are saying if Notre Dame loses, they will still find their way in. They would be like the 4th-rated team. I don't think so. I think Texas A&M would get in ahead of Notre Dame if they were to lose this game. And the reason why is Notre Dame, they beat Clemson at home in prime time with a lot of their players out. Now, for me, I think DJ Uiagalelei, I think that he's better than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence's career high in passing is 420 yards. DJ threw for 480 that game against a top-tier defense. So I don't think that's the reason Notre Dame won. But if Clemson wins this game, that's what the narrative is going to be. And Texas A&M is sitting there with the 6th hardest strength of schedule, the 3rd best strength of record. So I think the loser of this game, sorry, you're done. See you next year. Texas A&M's taking that spot if they win. I think this is going to be an absolute dogfight. It'll be just as good as the first game. I think Notre Dame's the better team. I think they are. I think they're a more complete team. Their defense definitely better, I believe. They have a better... man, what's happened to Etienne? Travis Etienne, I figured he'd be a Heisman candidate. He's done nothing this year. Amber alert for Travis Etienne. Kyron Williams of Notre Dame, he's looked better. He just has. And I feel like we got to give the Notre Dame man credit. Man, Notre Dame haven't won major bowl game since 1991. Haven't beat top 5 team in forever. Or they go out beat a top 5 team, and they could win their first ever conference title in their first ever year at a conference. Please save us from Notre Dame fans should they win this game. Gotta have to avoid them like the plague. It's going to be a back-and-forth game. I just don't think there was anything Trevor Lawrence was going to do in that game against Notre Dame. Give me the Fighting Irish in a close one. I think they are going to end up winning this game. I just think they're a better team. I just think they're going to win. I don't think that there's anything Trevor Lawrence was going to do in that game that was going to give Notre Dame a loss. And lastly, this was supposed to be the biggest game, but he's a Florida man. Woo. Oh, jeez. Marco Wilson, you fraud. You shoe-throwing fraud. Jesus Christ, what a joke Florida is. Holy cow, man. They lose to LSU. You know the whole deal. You know what happened. So now a lot of people are saying that Florida's officially eliminated. I don't think they are. I think if they win this game, they'll get in. How are you going to deny the winner of the best conference in college football a spot to the playoff? Whoever wins the SEC in any year is going to get in. They're just going to. I think Florida will get in should they beat the number 1 consensus team in the country. Now, doing that is going to be harder than actually saying that. They have probably 3 Heisman candidates on their offense. Mac Jones, Najee Harris, and Devonta Smith. I might vote. If I was a Heisman voter, I'd either vote for him or Jared Patterson. Has there been a more valuable player to their team than Devonta Smith? After Jalen Waddle went down with that injury, I was like, Bama's not going to be nearly as good because the whole point is you got to require equal attention to Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. With Jalen Waddle not playing, you can put more people on Devonta Smith. Nope, doesn't matter. You'll see the catch he had against LSU. Jesus, this man's been an absolute monster. I don't know how Florida's going to cover him. Put Marco Wilson on him? You're funny. I originally thought this was going to be a dogfight, but Florida, they are really concerning right now. Trask did not look like himself against LSU. Their defense gave up 37 to the worst defending national champion of all time. Side note about LSU, they gave themselves a bowl ban in a year where they're not going to be eligible for a bowl. Jeez, LSU's an absolute embarrassment. And Bama was up 45 points at halftime, and you lost to them. This game is not going to be close. It's Alabama's national championship to lose. I think they take care of business against the Gator. So these are my picks. Let me know if you disagree with any of them, and I will see you next time.